Welcome back to another Tilted Knot video. One of the things that I have realized with doing videos is I needed to change a few things with how I do my intros, especially. One of the issues I have is having my eyes wandering away, not actually looking at the camera, not being able to have a really good idea of where that transition or where my spotting needs to be so that I can be able to actually talk to you guys and be able to express what I want to. And so I had to try and find a solution that would work for my intro videos because of how I shoot them, where I shoot them. I needed a way to have the camera and the screen that I use in line with what I'm doing so that it forces me to actually look at the camera and be a little more attentive to what I'm doing and still be able to see what I'm recording. I couldn't find any solutions. I've tried several different small tripods for holding both the tablet that I use and the camera. It just wasn't working. I wasn't comfortable with it. And so I decided to build something that would actually function and work. So that's what this video is about. I'll show you a little bit later some of the other equipment that I've got, some of the tripods, how I'm learning how to use it, and hopefully you'll see some differences. But hopefully this gives you an idea of something that you can do, and let's get into the video. Thank you. The first thing I needed to do was center where I'm going to put the tripod foot for the camera into the wood and have it recessed. This has two different pins plus the screw that you use to attach to the bottom of the camera. So I've got to be able to reset all of that so it'll sit flush, and that's what I'm doing here. You'll notice when I flip it over, there is a series of holes on the other side because I had problems with getting this lined up to begin with. And it took me a few times to be able to get this centered and where I wanted it sitting. With the holes for the pins finally figured out, I can finally get the Forstner bit out and put in a recess for the primary screw that attaches to the bottom of the camera. I wasn't entirely sure how I wanted to do this, and I was hoping it would actually work. But I'm drilling a hole through the side of this that I can put a bolt through so that I have a way to clamp the tripod foot into the wood and keep everything stable so I don't have the camera wobbling if I move it or need to reposition the stand that I'm making. After verifying that everything was going to fit with the bolt, I can go ahead and open up the wood a little bit to just recess the head of the bolt so it's not sticking out. Now I'm just getting it cut down to size. I had to readjust the holes for the tripod foot because it was just a hair off center. And so I needed to recut that so everything would actually line up properly. Now it's time to start working on the stand for the tablet. And at this point, I was just hoping that I had the dimensions correct and it was going to be wide enough for it to fit the tablet with the case on it. With this portion of it glued together and clamped together, I can go ahead and set this aside, let the glue set, and I can start working on the camera mount again and get that finished up. Now I'm adding some wood to both ends of the camera base. This gives a sliding portion of the clamp a way to stay contained, keep it aligned with each other, and just give me more of a track for it to slide in when I loosen it and tighten it. I wanted to have a little more of a shape to this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this at an angle just to give it a little bit of a different look of it, because I didn't want everything just be completely square. I don't remember the exact angle that I cut this at, but it was a weird angle. I want to say ended up being about 18 degrees or so, but it took a little bit of adjusting and time to get this correct and still have the look that I wanted. Before I got too far into this, I decided to double check and make sure that the tablet was going to fit the way I wanted it to and sit nice and tightly. And now I can go back to finishing up the clamping mechanism now that the glue is set, and I don't have to worry about the clamp itself getting glued to the base. Now I'm marking out how the tablet stand is going to set on the legs for this. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with something really fancy or basic, as I didn't have a clear plan, but I decided to go with something that was more basic just to cut the amount of time down that I would be spending working on this. And now for the legs for the tablet stand. I can go ahead and get the ends cleaned up, make sure everything's nice and even, and start getting the inset cut that the tablet stand is going to sit on. Cuts like these are always a little bit iffy, and I get nervous with them just because of the odd angle and positioning of the wood versus the blade. But this was the best way that I could go about cutting out the recess for the tablet stand and still keep control of the wood. It turned out to be about a 5.5 or 6 degree angle, if I remember right. And then I just needed to notch it so that everything set flush with the tablet stand itself. The two legs I had stuck together with double-sided tape just so that I made sure everything was even and I didn't have to deal with cutting each piece individually. This way everything is actually symmetrical and I don't have to go back and fuss with anything. And here's a dry fit, just making sure that everything is going to line up, sit where it's supposed to, and look the way I wanted it to. And as you can see, with nothing glued in place or anything even set, the tablet fits where it needs to, and I think it's going to give me the look that I'm wanting in the end. And adding the camera clamp, this is the gist of what it's going to look like. And now it's time to get the datas marked out where I'm going to be inserting the legs for the tablet stand so that I can be able to get that secured in place and ready to go. Using a circle template that I have, I marked out where I wanted to have the top of the legs rounded over just to help break up the edges and not have everything completely square. I needed to do a little bit of cleanup on these corners with the chisel, just because the sanding left just a little bit of a divot and left it uneven. So after getting everything sanded down, I went ahead and just cleaned up the edge, straightened it up, and then ran it across some sandpaper to make sure everything was nice and even and get everything nice and smooth and ready for glue up. The router jig to make sure that I get the dados cut to the right depth and length. This just helps keep everything nice and straight, and I don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to do this on the table. All that's left for this part is getting the ends cleaned up and straightened out, and just doing a little bit of cleanup so that I can be able to get the legs set in place. I decided at the last minute to go ahead and round over the edges of the base as well, just to give a little more refined shape, and again, get rid of any major corners. And then, of course, we have the fun of sanding everything before I actually do the glue up and start getting this thing put together. And now for the fun of doing all the assembly work, getting everything glued together, and getting this thing ready to be finished. I found that I needed to add a couple extra clamps to pull everything to the side a little bit, just to make sure I had everything at a 90-degree angle. And then just gave this thing time to dry. After figuring out how much space I wanted between the legs for the tablet stand and the clamp for the camera, I used a spacer block that gave me the distance that I needed, and then used my square to make sure everything was nice and even, and got this portion glued directly to the wood. And now that this is clamped down, I can go ahead and let this portion of it set, let the glue dry, and then I can get the tablet stand attached to it as well. And with everything else, the fun of getting everything aligned even and making sure that the spacing is where I wanted it, we can go ahead and get clamps on this portion and let the glue dry, and we're closer to being done. And now to let this thing set overnight, and I will get the finish put on it off camera and show you what it looks like in the end. And here we have the finished stand. As you can see, it holds the camera right where I like to be able to see what I'm recording, see if there's anything I need to change or adjust while I'm recording my intros. And it gives me a little bit lower of a center of view to work with when I'm doing other recordings as well. This actually turned out to be a little bit better than I expected for a first time go. I didn't exactly have a clear idea of what I wanted to do or how I wanted to do it, but this also gives me a place to add an additional battery pack if I feel that I need it. And I added some rubber feet to the bottom just to keep it up off the tabletop a little bit better and give me a little more stability that way. But I hope this gives you an idea of something else that you can do. I had a lot of fun putting this together, figuring out what I wanted to do. And if you feel like earned it, I would greatly appreciate if you would like, subscribe, and share my videos so that I can get more of these out to other people and show other people what I'm doing, and hopefully give other people an idea of what they can do for their own shops or videos that they might be doing or anything else. But appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.